This is the Glatt Properties Podcast, Episode 2. Hey gang, welcome to the show. I am your host, Bruce Gladhorn. Let's get right into it. We're going to be doing a very fast podcast today. Today is all about expectations. We're going to be talking about expectations as a landlord, as an agent, and as an investor. So first, let's do landlord. The expectations that you have to set with your tenants from day zero can't be broken, and you cannot bend on them. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people talk about how they gave a tenant an inch, and the tenant took a mile by the end of the deal. I've seen it happen. I've personally done it. It's a bad feeling, but it's something that we all have to go through in order to learn that you do have to be firm, and if they are late with the rent late fee will apply. There's no buts or coconuts about that. Again, as a landlord, you also have to be, you have to set your expectations up front with your contractors, your project managers, your property manager, if you have one. You should be managing your own properties in the beginning. A handyman or, whatever closer that you're using in terms of, closing out your loan. Who's going to set expectations for you as a landlord? That's going to be the lender. Because until you have that clear to close, the lender is God. And if they say, I need a bank statement because it's the first of the month, you're sending them a bank statement. So they're setting expectations with you, and there's no wiggle room on that. So you have to kind of treat it the same way. With your project manager, you want your project manager to go in there and be able to look at a property and say, hey, listen, we got X, Y, and Z to do. We got to do all this. We got to do all that, the other thing. And then you want your contractor or your project, your handyman, you want your handyman or the construction guys to say, well, we can get away with this. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do this. But you want that polar opposites, and you want to set those expectations up front with each of those respective individuals, and let them know what their counterparts' expectations are. The last thing you want is two people on a job site telling you the same thing. That's how you know something's up. You got to have one person telling you A, one person telling you B, and the three of you guys, the four of you guys, the five of you guys have to get together and figure out the best possible solution. When your project manager and your contractor or your handyman are telling you both the same thing, you're paying a lot of money for not a lot of extra good stuff. So it just is what it is. For my realtors out there, you got to set expectations up front with your clients. You got to tell your sellers exactly what's expected from them and your buyers exactly what's expected from them. And this has to be initial contact right away. This is how you do your stuff. This is how you run your business. Boom, boom, boom. Are you crispy? Are you lackadaisical? Are you aggressive? Are you tenacious? Are you going to go after and sell that house? Like literally, are you going to sell that house as an agent to another agent? That's how you can see and you can tell who is a real agent and who isn't. A real agent sells the property to the agent. The agent is harder to sell than the client, but you cannot sell directly to the client. That's somebody else's client, the buyer in this example. So if your agent is able to sell your home to the buyer's agent, you got a deal. It's on the way. It may not be in hand yet, but you got a deal. As a buyer's agent, you got to set expectations with your buyer clients and say, listen, if the seller's agent tells me that he needs a 1, 2, 3 in this exact order. He does not need A, B, and C, and the buyer isn't willing to do that. You got to tell him up front, we're probably not going to go under agreement. We're probably going to struggle, and you are probably not going to buy a home because you're not willing to listen to what the seller wants. Every response from any buyer with any sort of brain is going to say, well, why do I have to give the seller what the seller wants? I am the buyer. You are my client. You can easily tell them and explain to them the inventory issue that we are dealing with in this country. In my local market, there's about 3 weeks of inventory, meaning that if no other homes go on the market in the next couple of weeks, we will be out of homes to sell. So they don't really have an option. It just is what it is. Again, as an agent, you got to get your expectations down with your admins, especially your lender and your closer. If your lender and your closer aren't meeting their deadlines, that's on you because you didn't tell them that deadlines are extremely valuable in this business and they have to meet them. There's no way around it. because now you look bad in front of your clients, and that's the last thing anybody wants. Nobody wants to look bad in front of their clients. So that's just part of the process. You will learn. You will figure it out. Otherwise, for just in general investor, expectations are important, but with you, the expectation is just a general passive property manager, or not even property manager, just a passive real estate investor. You hand your money off to somebody, you start a syndicate. The expectation is that they return that money with as much money attached to it as possible. Doesn't always work out that way. Not every deal is a good deal, or not every deal goes through, but that is the general expectation. And if you can do that 6 times out of 10, you're winning. And that's tremendous. So otherwise, basically, gang, expectations, set them early and repeat them out loud often to whoever you're talking to. You want them to see the world through your eyes when they look at you, or when they're looking at a property or something like that. And remember, there's nothing wrong with setting expectations. You're not ordering somebody to do something. What you're doing is you're explaining to them what you need done, and a good co-worker, a good person that can work alongside you or for you, will never disagree with you. They will either ask why, or they will provide an alternative, an idea that you may not be seeing. If you can find somebody that you can work with like that, you guys will be unstoppable. Until next time, gang, stay safe.